Hello, and welcome to the Idea Game Changer podcast, where we explore the dynamic world of science and technology. My name is Olalekan Mandela, and I'm your host for this podcast. The Idea Game Changer podcast is an initiative of Idea TV, where we dive into the latest innovation and invention happening in Africa, also discussing with brilliant minds that are shaping the future of science and technology industry. Get ready to be informed, inspired, and entertained as I invite you or as I introduce to you my guest, Mr. OBIEJESI CHINWEIKE,
Thank you.
the product manager or country manager of TechieByte Media and the
Thank you.
co-founder of a fintech company, Sendbit. Sir, it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. I'm
Yeah,
honored to be
so
here.
perhaps my introduction is not enough.
Okay.
It is not giving what it's supposed to give. I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, I think you actually did a good job there. I think
Oh,
you actually did
thank
your
you.
research.
I will add that to my CV.
Yeah. Okay. So I am the product manager for TechieBytes Media and also the founders, and then the co-founder for SendBit. SendBit is a product under TechieByte. So TechieByte is a software agency, and we have a lot of products, and SendBit is one of them. So basically, that's it.
Okay, so TechieByte Media is like the parent company,
Exactly.
then Sendbit is like a subsidiary.
Exactly.
Very perfect. So,
Exactly.
before we go further, I would like
Mhm.
you to to introduce how you started. What is the story behind Sendbit? Would you
Mm.
join TechieByte first, then
Mm.
Sendbit comes after, or you've envisioned
Uh,
Sendbit, then
all right. I think I have to maybe find a way to just combine the both.
right?
So we started Sendbeat as a process of struggle we had.
Wow.
Where when I say we, it's my partner and myself. My co-founder is in the United States, and he used to be my coursemate when we were in school in Akure. So it happens to be struggles we have receiving payments when we do jobs, right? So
As
I
a freelancer,
Yeah,
then. Oh,
exactly.
right.
So I was in Lagos, that was 2019, 2020. So I used to work with some international companies in Australia and in UK. So, but most times receiving payment is always a hassle. Sometimes I have to search around different people I
Mm,
might use as intermediary to just receive my money,
mm.
and it's always very difficult. So at some point, Dami, who is my co-founder and also my coursemate, is in US at the time. So I have to use him to receive the money and he send it back home to me.
The middleman thing.
Exactly. So at some point, I was talking to him over a video call and said, "Can we just find a way we can, do something? If he's, building a platform where freelancers can, create invoices or, have an intermediary where they can actually."
What job were you doing as a
So
freelancer?
then I was a front end developer.
Front end developer, right?
So I was doing the front end and I was also doing technical writing. So I was writing for Rug Rockets and also Geek Flare. So
Hmm.
most of them I was
Ladies
writing
and
for them.
gentlemen, I'm seated with a very talented man
So
here.
so it was that moment. So but then Techiebyte is actually something we started while we were in school. So while in school we were doing some projects in school, building apps for people, building websites for people, and it's also me and Dami. Me and Dami have gone a long way.
Wow.
So it's always myself and him. So then we build for people, and then at some point I told him, let's just form an agency so
Hmm.
we can actually use it to actually get more projects and all. So that was all the whole
That's how
process.
the whole thing skyrocketed to what
Exactly.
it is today.
Exactly.
I am very proud of your success story.
Yeah.
And at the Young Einstein segment of the Idea Game Changer, we talk about the struggles young founders
Mm-hmm.
often go through
Mm-hmm.
to birth the idea, to birth that idea. Everybody can conceive an idea.
Of course.
Everybody can come up with something,
Mm-hmm.
but to implement it and bring it to life, that's where the problem is. So
Most
if we
definitely.
have 90 people conceiving an idea, we can only have maybe 30%,
Mm.
30% or 20% just bringing those ideas to life. So
Exactly.
it is not always easy. But my question right now is,
Mm-hmm.
um, you founded the Zenbit,
Mm.
a fintech company.
Yeah.
We have so many fintech companies,
Exactly.
and we know what it means. We have Cowrywise, we
Yeah.
have Paystack, we have Flutterwave,
Mm-hmm.
we even have this money saving. We
There,
have
there are lots of them
There are a
actually.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think set your own company apart? Because if we keep doing the same thing, we achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
So, what exactly are we doing, or you are doing differently that you think is going to make your own company stand out amongst others?
Well, I could say one thing. We are not focused on everybody. We are focused on freelancers.
Just
Yeah.
freelancers.
So because those were our struggle at the time. And if I could actually find some platforms that were allowing me to actually do those things, then we wouldn't have,
Mm,
ventured into it.
correct.
So it is our pain we wanted to target. And at some point, when we built that system, we found out that there are many other people that share in this same pain.
Mm, mm,
So this is actually how I think we were, kind of set apart from every other person, what every other person is doing.
mm.
Most persons are, into savings, and we don't do that. We just want to help you get your money back home,
The
right?
money you worked for.
Exactly, money work for without having, to have somebody who is going to be receiving it for you somewhere and then sending it back
Who is
home.
going to be also charging you
So
at the
exactly.
process?
So all those stuff we are, things I would say that actually set us apart from every other person. People that are using our application are more digital nomads, like freelancers, software developers, graphic designers that do international jobs for people. Those are the people that use our platform majorly. So
Mm,
that's it.
mm, mm. That's right. Mr. Chinwe. Can I call you Chinwe?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
Mr.
That's fine.
Chinwe, there, there was a policy that
Mm,
comes with financial technology
mm-hmm,
complaints.
mm-hmm.
And for example, there was a time that the CBN released a policy of if you want to be a fintech company in
Mm,
Nigeria,
mm,
especially sending and receiving international
yeah,
funds,
yeah.
you need to have like 100 million,
Mm-hmm,
all of those things.
mm,
All of this Nigerian policy
mm,
to the financial technology space,
mm.
how does it affect you, and how were you able to manage it?
Well, this is what happens where we are in a third world country. So
Hmm,
there is always, clash of policies and all,
very correct.
and it's why we are also in a, on a stable economy because our policy is not yet stable. So for us, we are not going through those routes. So
Hmm,
we reach out to bigger companies in the
hmm,
game. We reach out to Flutterwave or Fincra, and some of them we partner with them to use their license, right? So because as young as we are, we cannot afford those money CBN or every other agency is asking of
hmm,
us. We cannot afford it. So what we do is send out a message to Flutterwave, Finca. There are lots of them. I can't
hmm,
be mentioning them here, and we have to use their license. They allow us to
hmm.
partner to use their
Their
license.
license.
So and
I think
then
that's creative.
exactly. So what we are also doing is when we are doing that part, we are also giving them, kind of access to see who our users are because they want to know if you have users that are going to be committing fraud and all the rest of them. So they want to know because you're using their license, right? So all those stuff are what is in there. But to be very honest with you, it's not that easy. It's quite challenging
Very, very.
because some of them is going to turn you down,
Yes.
and
Rejection.
exactly. So all those stuff, and it is what it is.
So let's focus on Sendbit for now.
Mm,
How does Sendbit get their revenue? Because I know of platforms whereby if you use their platform to get your money, international money,
mm,
they receive some certain percentage,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
5%, 3%, 10%,
mhm,
depending.
yeah.
So Sendbit, do those things do this percentage stuff, or how do you get your own revenue?
So it's almost the same way. So how we do it is when we individuals create an invoice, right? And let's say they are sending an invoice of about $200 or so. So we have an amount. It's not like a percentage. Like maybe we have about $5 fee for let's say $500 or something like that. So it's just like that, and that's how we actually make money. It's kind of a tiny thing, but and that's
Mm,
why we have a very small team because we cannot afford to have because we want to give the people using our platform that opportunity to actually get their home money. So we don't want to charge
Without
them so
stress.
we don't want to charge them so much, and they are looking at, okay, I'm get
This is
you
ridiculous.
know
I can't do
yeah,
this.
stuff like that. So maybe you're sending an invoice of $200, and then we are charging you about $10 or 20. It's quite
It's
ridiculous,
quite a
and
lot.
it's process that I have seen, and it's something I share with, and I can't allow that on my
And
own.
we have a lot of
So
freelancers in Nigeria.
exactly.
So let's excuse me. Let's go back a little bit down the memory lane.
Mm.
Do you study software development in school?
So I did computer science.
Computer science.
Yeah.
So what led to software development? Because you could have opted for another thing. I
Mm.
want you to know that what we are today is shaped by our experiences and our choices.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, for me, for example, your host, me
Mm.
speaking, I study biology, but now
Okay,
I'm into journalism and broadcasting.
that's nice.
So, and that's the people that, okay, I want to go through this path.
To be very honest with you, I never knew computer science ever existed. I think that was in my SS2, and I think miraculously, I don't know how that happened. And um, our governor at the time was Peter Obi, and he gave us about 60 laptops.
For free.
So yeah, so that was how I actually, you know, started getting that so much interested in what is happening in the computer world. So at that time, I would spend so much time in the computer lab, and the man who is our teacher, computer science teacher, but data processing, I they call it at that time, is from my hometown. So he allowed me have like about 3 hours on the lab. So that was where I developed the interest. So and he used to motivate me with Mark Zuckerberg at the time. So at the time I wanted to do medicine. So he told me
Every Nigerian wanted to be a medicine student.
exactly. So I wanted to do medicine. So but he told me to do computer science. I never knew what it was, and my dad
But
never.
it sounds pleasing.
Yeah. But my dad also never wanted it, because he was like, "What are you going to do if you do computer science? So if you finish, what are you going to do?"
African
So
parent.
stuff like that. So but then I was so fortunate. I did it, and it came out well for me, and here I am.
From there,
Yeah.
wow, that's a very very
Mm.
beautiful story.
Yeah.
So, what should people expect from Sandbit now? Now that the world is, what we know, the kind of world that we find ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
We have AI shaping things.
Mm-hmm.
We have people automating things.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the technology we have today is like is evolving to
Yeah.
something we don't even know. So, what should people expect from Sandbit moving forward?
Oh, they should expect innovation, more innovation, because we at every single day, me and myself, we are always thinking of the best way to make things more simpler, more easier. So at every single day, even before I came out here, we had a meeting before I came out. So
Wow.
he he's also idea driven, and the same thing applies for myself. So it's innovation all the way. So we are trying to see how we can, bring in whatever system and technology we are going to imbue on our system that is going to allow our users have seamless transaction space for themselves. And we're looking forward to also a better policies surrounding surrounding Nigeria. If we have more better policies, there are a lot of things
Mm.
we can do, a lot of things, but we are limited by what's
But
happening,
what's
because you
happening?
don't want to shoot yourself by the leg.
Yeah, I noticed that you really love Sandbit. I can see you even wearing the
Oh,
shirt.
okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so was there a time when you were starting Sandbit
Mm.
and it all looks all crashing down that you were about to give up? But
Mm-hmm.
what was your lesson then? What was your experience like then? What was the
Mm.
lesson you taught, and how were you able to pick yourself up?
So I would say that point was even I think this year.
Wow. Well, let's what?
Yeah, so this year, mid this year, so we are experiencing a lot of chargeback rates, and
Woo!
that was exactly.
From the people you partner with.
No, from our users.
Oh,
Now, and that was when we were just being so too lenient.
something must be wrong somewhere.
Exactly. So I think we had uh, loopholes and fraudsters. So when they do their thing, they want to just charge back again and do another one and charge back. And I'm okay. So this is Nigeria, so you have to be tough. So I have to understand that where we are, you might have the best intention in mind, but then
Yes, there's always the Nigerian factor.
exactly. So those were the moments. At that point, to be very honest with you, to be very frank, I was like, I'm done. Like Dami, let's do another thing, right? Because we were experiencing lots of chatback, and it was, heartbreaking.
Hmm.
That okay, you're trying to build something that is going to be
You are trying to
very,
build a solution. People are
and
not
then
seeing it.
they're trying to play games with it. So
Hmm.
at that point, I think that's one of the things. But we were able to, I was able to consult with some big people, and they
Hmm.
told me, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is tighten up your KYC, do this, do this, do this. So we're able to do all those stuff, and then we went back into business. So that's it.
Oh, that's very impressive. So, if you are going to give any advice
Mm,
to, if there is going to be any advice you are going to give to our audience right now
mm,
about starting a business, probably a
mm,
fintech company,
mm.
what's the first thing they need to put in place? What's the first thing they should look out for?
Well, I would say fintech space is so depressing. I
Oh,
would say that. I would say that.
depressing.
I would tell
Wow.
you. I would tell you because it's a lot of challenge at that space. Because you are fighting different forces. You're fighting users. You are fighting
You're
regulators.
fighting
You are fighting
policymaker.
policy makers and everything. So, eh, for someone who wants to enter into that, you have to make sure that
You work on your
you know
mind.
you know you have zeroed your mind. Okay, I'm going to do this regardless, and you're going to do it in the right possible way, you know basically. And you have to be, if you're not driven towards the solution you're building,
Hmm.
to be very honest, you won't actually see it through, because once the first hit comes, the second hit comes, you just leave it and go. So but if you're so driven about it, if you're so driven about the solution you're bringing on the table, you you might actually have that spirit, pushing you forward even when everything is crashing down. So
Yeah.
that's all I can say.
So, as a country manager
Mm,
of Take Bike Media
mm,
LLC,
mm,
as a co-founder of Sendbit, how were you able to manage
mm.
all of these products under Take Bike Media? Because it might look like a lot.
Yeah, it is. At some point, I think there was a time, sometime last year, we are having three projects at the same time.
Ooh,
So, and
in Nigeria? Oh,
yes, yeah,
okay.
it was a Nigerian-based project. So we are handling them at the same time. And at that point, it was very challenging for me, because you have to see what they are doing here, see what they are doing here, see what they are doing here. But what made it more easier is because I had good team, yeah, and most of the people on my team are my classmates, so we,
Hmm.
we actually bonded very well while in school. So uh, some of them work on contract basis, and because we share some kind of level of friendship and dedication while in school, they're still so dedicated to it. So
Hmm.
at some point when I'm so not into it, some other person just picks up, and tries to get him. I'm covering up for him, let him get himself and all. So I think that's how I've been able
So
to
you were
manage.
able to use people's
Hmm.
people that you already
Exactly,
know that
exactly,
can key into the vision. Do you
exactly.
pay them?
Yeah, of course.
But they should understand better that, oh, we are just starting. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just managing.
exactly. They understood that, okay, this is when we started at first, they understood that this is a long term game for us,
Hmm.
and they understood that, okay, we are bringing something on the table and something is going to come out of it, right?
Hmm.
They believed in it, because they believed in me to be kind of person that brings something better while
Hmm.
in school. So they still have that belief till this moment. So
Wow,
when I
that's very, very
yeah.
impressive.
Mm,
But so particularly, I if I want to start a fintech company, um and I don't have, is it possible for me to start a fintech company or anything in tech
mm,
without having idea of coding? Because you said you're a software developer,
yeah.
and what if I'm not a software developer? What if I'm a business manager or I study business admin in school? I
Mm,
have idea of how business is run, but
mm,
I don't have the skills.
mm.
How can I do it?
Well, I believe you can, but you need to have a very good CTO. Like a very good CTO, you are bonded so well with your chief technical officer. Like he has to be
Mm,
very good at the game. Like okay, you're business minded. He should be very good at the coding.
and
Yeah,
implementing it.
yeah. Because if you are saying, okay, I'm business minded,
Hmm.
and then I want to hire people all the way, it's going to cost you a lot.
Hmm.
And those people are working for their money. They're not
Hmm.
working for the idea, right?
Hmm.
So it's going to be more tasky for you,
Right.
right? So, but then if you have a very good CTO who happens to be more of like a friend or something, then he's going to help you manage that aspect while
Right.
you do the business game,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So that is how it's going to. Else is going to be very very difficult for you.
So do you have any other thing you do aside from send beat and take it right?
Well, presently I have nothing else I do. Presently,
Focus, 100%
yeah,
focus.
everything I do is surrounding Techibyte and Sendbit. Every single thing I do presently.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That
maybe it's we change in the future, but
we
now,
change in the future. We
so
don't know.
yeah.
Sincerely, I love all of your responses. I have gained a lot,
Mm,
but I was just looking at how was Sendbit.
mm,
I'm particularly focused on Sendbit now.
mm.
How are they able to stand or withstand the competitive pressure?
Oh.
Pay stack.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, if I say I have send beat, people will be like, what's send beat? I would rather use this pay stack that I can call
yeah,
out
yeah.
on Twitter and they will answer me and all of
Mm-hmm,
those things.
mm-hmm.
So, how were you able to stand? How were you able to take your stand? And how were you able to be forging forward?
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's quite a very competitive industry, but because we have actually niched down, so it is not super competitive. Like let's say every other person that is using Paystack, that they can be in different fields,
Mm,
right?
right.
Yeah, but people that are using us, like they are more like freelancers.
Freelancers. Yeah.
So even when they are not using the invoice, they are likely to be using dollar cards, right?
Okay.
So they have a ton of things to actually do on it, but they have to be freelance, because if you're not, you will not actually see the importance of having it,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
if you're actually telling just an ordinary person who's into some other business about Sendbit, they are not seeing it, you know. Yeah.
What is that?
So
So, but if
yeah,
you tell the
exactly.
freelancers, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
they will
It'll
relate
be
with
like,
it.
okay, okay. I think they are cheaper, so let me use it. So that's it.
Hmm.
So
That's very, very beautiful. So we've talked about the struggles for too long, for
mm,
quite a while.
mhm,
Let's talk about the opportunities.
mhm,
You starting Sendbit with
mhm,
an extension here in Nigeria and Africa
mm,
must have some opportunities because if you hadn't seen that, you
mm,
wouldn't have said you want to establish here. Or are
mm.
you establishing here because you are from here? Or
Yeah.
because you saw some opportunities and you say, okay, let's get into this. Even though we have these policy challenges and
Mhm.
all, I can still see the bright side here
Yeah.
and here. So, what are the opportunities you saw then and that you key into?
Well, the opportunities where Nigeria have the numbers, you know.
We have the
Yeah,
number.
we have the numbers, and that's why different people from every other places come here. So we have the numbers. We can actually maximize it if we care. So, and for the fact that I am here also, I have a level of understanding about this market, right? If you take me to, I've gone to some other African countries. I don't really understand how it goes, right?
Mm,
So I'm just there as, let's say, a tourist, like a visitor, right? So I can just do and go.
mm,
But here, I understand this terrain. You understand? So I might likely have one or two things, and I know, okay, where to go, what to do. Yeah, even if it's going to be super difficult, but I know exactly what to do. So this is the market I understand, and there is the numbers. And
mm.
Nigerians have talent.
Yeah, we
You
are
know,
talented.
yeah,
Ooh.
we have that talent. And if you look at it, the rising international job demand is, super, increasing, and all these people need an avenue to actually get their money back home. So that's where the opportunities
That's
are.
where the
Yeah,
opportunity
right.
is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
That's very interesting. We're coming to your halfway,
thank you.
almost 10, 30 minutes. But then I would like you to tell us, in just 1 minute or two, can you just tell us about TechieByte, Sendbit, yourself, and your co-founder to our audience?
All right. I would say every single work we have been doing on Sendbit, I I actually have to appreciate my co-founder very well. Dami Oyindamola Eribemi is actually a very great guy, an amazing individual. Like a, he's actually one of the guys actually pushing things up, even irrespective of the fact that I try to coach, but he's a great guy. Without him, I would have stopped a
Long
long
way
time.
before. I
Yeah,
can't do this. So,
yeah. Without him, I would have stopped. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, how far? let's do this. You understand? So and then I would say, okay, the works we have been doing, we are actually trying to see ourselves get to the top. That's our
How
goal.
do you see yourself in
Yeah,
5 years from now?
exactly. So we are trying to see ourselves increasing, becoming, that go-to platform for
For
people, for
freelancing?
freelancers. So
Wow.
who actually are in need of these services.
Wow.
So that's what we are trying to do.
Whew. Wow. That is a very, very interesting episode.
Hmm.
Thank you very much, Mr. OBIEJESI CHINWEIKE.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, our audience, for listening to the segment of Young Einstein on the Idea Game Changer podcast. We appreciate you and we value your time. Thank you for joining our guests on discussing how to build financial technology company in Nigeria or in Africa. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope you've gained something worthwhile. If you have any question, do it to put it in the comment section, or you send us a mail at theideagamechanger@gmail.com, or you send us a mail at ideatv on any of your preferred social media platform. If you like to get a contact of our resource person, our guest, or if you like to contact him for any collaboration or partnership, do it to also send us a mail or a message, a direct DM on social media at Idea Television on X, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, any of your preferred social media handle, and we'll be glad to answer your question. My name is Olale Mandela, and I'm your host for the Idea Game Changer podcast. Thank you.